And we're live again.
Woo!
Hi,
Bonjour à
Hello.
tous.
guys. Welcome back to another live stream with the Lingoni crew.
Hello.
Thank you
Hi.
for
This
being
is
here with me,
exciting. I'm
Brian
glad
and
to be with
Alicia.
you guys for the first time, like the three of us together.
Yeah, we've never been in a live stream together before, so that's pretty cool. We've had one with Emily, Alicia, me, and Emily. We've had one
Yes,
together.
Mhm.
What
Spicing
did
it
we
up a
talk
bit.
about in that live stream again? It's such a long time ago. I don't remember.
So much content, so little time.
Yeah.
I think we were doing like expressions and phrases and comparing if they existed in all the languages or if they were different and what they meant. We had to guess. It was quite nice, quite fun. People like
Oh
this
yeah,
one.
it was language
It was
related.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that
I
was
had
fun.
Emily another time. She was learning French. She did a great job too.
Yes, that was also really fun to watch. So yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Let's wait maybe until some more people are in the stream.
Yeah.
So
you have
today
a
we're going to
question.
talk about cliches and stereotypes. So that should be interesting. We're going to be talking about American, French, and German cliches, and we've prepared. We've prepared ourselves. So I have prepared cliches about Americans and the French, and then Alicia, you've prepared cliches about the Germans and the Americans, and Brian, you have prepared cliches about the French and the Germans. So
That's right.
we'll see what you guys think about the Germans and what I think about you guys. Yeah, but we already said that we would remain friends even after this live stream. So
We will,
Right.
for sure.
I think we're pretty passionate or like compassionate people and caring people. So I don't think
Yes.
this would separate us in any way.
Nah.
Yes. And we will have two surprise guests today, but we won't say who they are yet. So yeah, sometime during the live stream, there are going to be two people joining us.
Absolutely.
So
I'm also curious to see what like I wonder if our sort of stereotypes about our own cultures and nationalities match up with what the other people will say.
True.
I think there will be some similarities, but I think there are also some things about for example, so Jenny, you've lived in the US before.
Mm-hmm.
And Alicia, have you been to the US?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are some things that I think you might have kind of you might also think of, but I have like some specific stereotypes of certain kinds of Americans in mind that I don't think really would come to mind for you because you're not American.
Okay. Maybe we can talk about the definition of cliches. So I think we all maybe have a slightly different definition of it.
But
so
I
for
thought,
me,
wait, no, don't say anything because I'm sure if you ask, because I know Mary, I know Sulanya, I know some people who are here, and someone was asking, what are we doing today? So if we say, hey, Ute, if we say we're talking about cliche and stereotypes, is there anyone here who could give us like a definition or an idea of what is a cliche and a stereotype? And then of course we will add ours. But do you guys have a very quick definition or synonym or example even of a very like straightforward cliche that you would like to share with us? Mary, I'm really counting on you for this one.
You're always including the audience. I like that, Alicia.
But they're on fire. They're asking. Look, Saeed, he's here also. He's going to tell us what's a cliche.
Yes. Do you recognize some of these people from your live streams?
Saeed, I don't know, I think, for example.
Saeed, I know from the English channel. He comments a lot. Yeah.
Really?
And I think he was in the last live stream. I want to say actually with us two, right?
The one we did together, yeah, he was talking to you at some point. It's true, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Saeed.
Yeah. So guys,
Mauro, of course. Mauro is like, Mauro and Mary, I mean, if they're not here, there's something wrong. Gloria should be here too. Let's see. But yeah.
I wonder why Captain T isn't here. He is like in almost all of our live streams.
Yeah,
not in the French one, I think.
Here.
Yeah. So guys, what do you think is a cliche or a stereotype?
I think I've heard that term before. Right? Can you tell us more? Mauro, puisque tu viens d'arriver, on doit donner une définition de ce qu'est un cliché ou un stéréotype, because that's going to be the topic of the day. Cliché and stereotypes. Mary is saying, maybe we can say...
Guten Morgen, Brian. Wo kommst du her? Wir haben eine ähnliche Name. Also, ich heiße Brian mit A und du heißt Brian mit
Stimmt.
E. Ich habe das nie
Ja.
gesehen.
Ja, Brian habe ich schon öfter gesehen. Ich weiß nicht in welchen Livestreams, aber er ist öfter dabei. Alicia, you're learning German now. I heard. Little bird told me.
A little bit. Give me 2 months, and then we can have a quick
You'll be
chat.
fluent.
Captain T is here,
There's
just so
Captain
you know.
T.
Yeah.
There he is. Yay.
Hello and
So-
welcome. All right,
You
so
totally wait. I was highlighting this one because she answered. Mary answered. I told you she was quick. She said, maybe you can say it's some kind of prejudice. Yeah, prejudice. Oh,
a prejudice, yeah. I think there's I think there is some prejudice in stereotypes. There can
absolutely.
be. I think it depends on what the stereotype is exactly. Also, it's funny because you have stereotype and cliche, and I think most Americans use them as synonyms. Although cliche has like an extra meaning to it that I just wrote an example down that I can share in a moment. But
Nice.
if you guys, again, if you know an example of a cliche, write it down. If you know an example of a stereotype, let us know. And also, what are the cliches and stereotypes of where you're from and where you're living?
Yes.
Because we're going to be talking about France, Germany, and the US. But of course, where you're living, like each place, even each region of a specific country has individual cliches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Exactly. Yeah.
So Sulania is asking, what's a prejudice?
Very good question.
Yeah.
Brian, you're the American here. Give us.
I know, I'm the English
You're
teacher
the
here.
native. Give an
so
example.
A prejudice, to my understanding, this might not be exactly dictionary perfect, is a belief you have about a certain group of people, and it's often negative, or it might only be negative.
And not justified. It's a bit like I just decided that but all and it sounds terrible when it's a prejudice. But all Chinese people, all French people, but people from Argentina, and then you say something that is very like a general thing, usually negative, and you say they're all like that. That's the idea of the prejudice. Like they're all doing that, and that's when it becomes first ridiculous. And then it's a prejudice because you're not respecting, of course, like each person. You're just saying, this group of people, they do that. It's like, no, c'est un préjugé in French for the French guys, un préjugé, and it has really a negative sense. Whereas cliché is somehow cute. It's a bit funnier. It's just like
Really?
like, if you tell me, French people they only eat croissant in the morning, and it's not
okay,
too bad. You're not attacking me, and like the
You
whole.
wouldn't feel offended if I say that to you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
and I think also just
sorry,
a quick note with prejudice as well is that the preposition you use after prejudice is against. You have a prejudice against someone. So I think that's kind of telling as to the nature of what having prejudice is and means. Yeah.
Apparently we cleared that up. Look at that. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Alicia, do you want to maybe start with the way that you see Americans?
That's it. I have to jump. And now I'm going to have a lot of enemies. Okay. So we were starting with the American, right?
Yes, let's start with the Americans.
D'accord. Okay.
Are you making a heart with your hand? No, you're playing with your necklace.
Look. I have this one. Sorry, but it's not that I don't want to work. It's just that people are faster than me. You see? Boom, boom, boom. They start already. Yes. This is another one. We'll be talking about the French in a minute. So for the American, it's true that's the first thing I had. I wrote everything is extra large. They love eating fast food and it's extra large, huge hamburger. They love that. They use their car a lot. They're not very environment friendly, but they're very friendly though. They're friendly, very warm people, like super nice, very easy to communicate. Nice tourist people and nice when you go to the US for the first time. It's very easy to communicate with people. Okay, this one I don't even know if it's a cliche. I'm not too sure, but the fact that you adapt everything to like the US style, for example, you love a movie but it's a French movie, and you say, we love that, we're going to take it, readjust a little bit, take our actors and everything, and then we'll make it American. And variants, I said it, are the patriotes. My pronunciation is bad for this word in English, so I said it in French. Patriotic. The very American thing.
Yeah,
American
they're like
flag everywhere
patriotic.
you go.
Yeah, it could be the
Of
adjective.
course, you do that.
Patriotic.
You do that.
Oh gosh, Brian, now you have to respond to Alicia.
Okay, I maybe some more in a minute. I think we can do.
Okay, you're not done yet. Sorry.
Okay, so now I can respond?
You can, and then I give you some more. Yeah, otherwise you forget.
Yeah, I know. I've written a couple down. I have the okay, wait, let me see. Bigger. I should have been writing them down as you went along. And adapting. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna start with the adapting thing. I've definitely noticed this. And one of the ways I was talking about this recently with some friends about the show Westworld. Have you seen it?
No.
Which one?
Westworld. It's on HBO, or in Germany it would be in Sky.
No, but I know what you mean. Yeah, no.
And let's see. And so the second season, there might be some spoilers here, so watch out. But it's very small. It's really not much of a spoiler. So the second season, there's some part that takes place in Japan. And you have the Western characters, the American characters, interacting with the Japanese characters. And there's something that happens where one of the Japanese characters needs to make a serious life decision. And watching it, I wanted her to make a certain decision. And I really felt that. I'm like, this is what I know to be true and right. But I think her, with her own cultural values of being Japanese and being Japanese and having been raised in a society that has different expectations and life responsibilities, she goes ahead and does what she knows to be right, which is different from what the American expectation is. And I really loved the way I kind of want to look a little bit more into how they made the show as far as different cultural aspects go. Because they must have had a pretty big Japanese team working on the parts that take place in Japan. I don't know if they went to Japan to film it or whatever, but I love that despite it being a mainly American show, it's produced by it has to be produced by the US. That line, it doesn't follow the US norm and expectation. And I thought that was really powerful. But you also definitely see this, you have to have your happy ending, right?
Yeah.
So is this typical for Americans, that their movies in general need a happy ending?
Yeah, and I can see that too. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I can imagine some French films that I've seen where I'm just like, wow, what a depressing ending. And there's no silver lining either. There's no glimmer of hope or anything. It's just
bad
depression. And that's it. And I think the American version can't handle that. There needs to be, and also there needs to be a beginning, middle, end. It can never just be a snapshot of somebody's life, which doesn't exist in the format of an actual story or movie. It's everything flows, everything kind of keeps going. So that's one response. The fast food thing, the bigger the better. Even fast food in Germany, the portions are smaller than in the US, that's for sure.
But didn't they change that? Because I remember 10 years ago there were these movies by Michael Moore, and he filmed the movie
Super Size Me.
Yeah. And then didn't they reduce the size of the menus and stuff?
Maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Not true.
I have no idea. But I personally don't really eat fast food. Even when I lived in the US, I didn't. But sure, of course, there are a lot of places that do, or I was talking to my roommate today about Americans eating hamburgers all the time. And I was like, it's funny because I do love a hamburger, but I bet you guys love hamburgers, even if it's a vegan one or something. They're pretty damn good, right? Yeah, they're delicious. And I was like, but I think Americans aren't eating hamburgers every day. And then I was thinking of where Emily's from in Oklahoma. And I'm like, I bet people eat steak and hamburgers there much more because the quality of beef there and meat is just so much higher than in the rest of the US and in Germany. Yeah.
In Oklahoma, the quality of the beef is higher?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, I think so. We would have to ask her.
Okay.
We can ask her in one of our meetings later or something.
Yes.
Or maybe
I'm
is she
sure we'll
watching?
get the chance to talk to her.
Sulaiman
Yeah.
is still asking what is a cliche. I think what Brian said very quickly, for example, that the Americans eat burgers every day, or they only eat burgers and fast food. That's what they eat. That's their gastronomy. That's a cliche. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's not true. Because we're just doing a very general thing about the whole people living in America and saying, oh yeah, the Americans, like, that's it. I'm just taking the whole country and I'm saying they eat fast food. That's a cliche because it's way too general. It's not at all. It's a general idea we have from the outside, from another country. It's a stereotype. You can also say stereotype. It's a synonym, these two
Yeah.
words.
There's also another definition for a cliche as well. And you'll hear sometimes Americans be like, oh, that's so cliche. And an example of that,
yeah.
it's a spoken thing. And for example, like, you know, if you're like having a serious discussion with someone and they're kind of trying to prove their point, and they might be like, you know, it might be about doing something sooner rather than later.
Mhm.
And then they might finish the conversation by saying, well, you know, the early bird gets the worm. And you're
Mhm.
like, oh, enough with the cliches, you know?
Okay.
And
How do
in
you feel
writing
when
in
people
English,
like
yeah.
you live in Germany, Brian, right? So how do you feel when people approach you and they know you're American and then they say like, yeah, you guys do this, you guys do that, you guys only eat fast food. How do you feel when
It
people
drives
say
me
that?
crazy. It really does.
Oh,
And
really?
also, like, I postpone telling someone where I'm from for as long as I can. I'm
Yeah.
okay talking about the fact that I'm American. And when I lived in France in high school, and um, it was a time when like George Bush was president. He was a very controversial president, and you know, and also there's this kind of stereotype. Sorry, not to get too far into French people, but because we're talking about it, of like French people hating Americans in particular. And I got a lot of flack. You know, I got a lot of negativity, I guess, from French people and like criticism. I mean, who doesn't? Um, for being American. And so I really was like ashamed and embarrassed about that. And I tried to blend in and become as like French or non-American as possible. But now that I've, you know, become an adult, there are so many things that I'm actually sincerely proud of, about where I'm from and like the culture of where I'm from. And I know there's that whole, you were saying before, part of like, oh, you know, I'm like a proud American, whatever. And I don't go around like shouting like USA, USA. Like I'm not that kind of like belligerent, obnoxious American. But there are things like, you know, jazz that I love that has come from the US, or certain kinds of like writing that's come from the US. So it's like these smaller things and things that really have a lot of value in my own life,
Mhm.
or that I think have like made positive impact on the world,
Mhm.
despite all of the like, you know, terrible things that the US has done to the world.
And we were talking about things being so huge in the US. So when you go to like a German supermarket, are you like, oh, this is so small. I don't feel good in here. Or like or German refrigerator, are you like, oh, this is tiny. This refrigerator is kind of annoying me. Do you ever
Yeah,
feel that or
yeah.
is it
My washing machine is very small, but now I think it's actually the right size. I don't know what I was doing in the US. I think maybe I just washed my clothes more, or like I don't know what was happening. In For supermarkets, yeah, they're smaller. They don't have everything that I want. And it's not like I want really extravagant things. Sometimes I'm just like, you know, I just want some like jalapeno peppers, or like kale. I remember I couldn't find, there was no kale in the supermarket near my apartment for the longest time.
Mhm.
Um and I was like, come on, it's kale. Like, you know, that it grows under snow. Like it's a
Yeah.
hardy plant and it's easy to like grow and have. But I couldn't find it. As well as, yes, my refrigerator is absurdly small. And I kid you not, I'm serious. To like any American out there or people who know like American refrigerators, the freezer is the size of a shoebox. It is so small, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, there's not enough room to put like, because there are three of us who live together in my apartment. There's not enough room to put all of the frozen things you want to get, and it's not even much. Sometimes I want to buy like a pint of ice cream, and there's just no room. So
Okay. So
oh
you could
well.
buy a bigger one, or do you just feel like you
It's
need to
built into
adapt
the
to German?
wall.
Huh?
It's built into the wall. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, so and I think it belongs to the company that rents out this apartment to us.
Okay, yeah.
But my roommate and I, we've talked about actually buying a separate freezer because he eats a lot of frozen food as well. Like he buys a lot
Uh-huh.
of frozen vegetables.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, I guess you also want to maybe, do you have the feeling that you need to adapt? You're like, no, I'm in Germany now. I need to be able to handle a small refrigerator.
I mean, I think I do mostly adapt, yeah. And I don't want to like waste my money on buying a fridge. It requires more energy, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Someone is asking, do you think you eat healthier with a smaller fridge?
Mm-mm.
what do you guys think?
I don't know. I don't think it has. Does it have to do with eating healthier? I mean, you can buy a lot of healthy food and put them in a huge refrigerator, right?
Yeah, and I think also I would buy more like I think I would have more frozen because I don't really eat that much junk food or like I think the unhealthy food that I eat is like cheese. But I don't think cheese is all that bad for you.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Um compared to a lot of other stuff that's out there. But I would put more like I would probably have frozen peas and like frozen berries in my freezer if I had
Okay.
more freezer space. That would be
Yeah.
like the main thing. But I
Yeah.
think again, this is one of the things like you asked Jenny. Sorry, I'm doing most of the talking here, but when we get to the other things, I'll quiet down more. That when people come up to me and they say these like stereotypes about Americans, is that yeah, we are really like individual people and like I know that the US has a lot of issues. Um, I'm familiar with the stereotypes of the US, but it's just like it's not an interesting conversation and it doesn't make me feel good and it doesn't make me feel like I connect to the people who I'm talking to. I think
Mhm.
if you're going to have conversations, like I think a great way to start a conversation with someone is by talking about experience instead of identity first. And this could be
Mhm.
even with appearance. Like, you know, if you see a person who's black and they have curly hair and you like don't normally see that much, you know, bringing that up in conversation when you're meeting them for the first time probably isn't the best way to start the conversation rather than saying, for example,
True.
like, hey, how was your week? And
That's
you
true.
talk about your experiences, and maybe that would bring up shared experiences in common as well.
Definitely. What about you, Alicia? Do you have a big refrigerator, or do the French have small ones? Or
It's a
maybe
very normal one, but I think we more adjust the fridge to the size of your kitchen and the amount of money you can spend, or the like, is it a big family or do you live alone? It's more like let's say a rational decision because when I go to my friends who live alone, then they have a little basic fridge and stuff. But of course, if I go to a family, then usually they go for the family fridge. But what Brian was saying before, like, I don't know what I was doing in the US with this huge fridge. It's fine. I mean, if you are 6 at home, then it's cool. But if you are alone, then maybe that's again the US norms, like size standards that are a bit different, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. You live in Berlin, right, Brian? So what does it feel like? Because Berlin, I guess there's not, if you live in the center of Berlin, it's kind of like impossible to have a huge house, right? Otherwise, you would need to live in the countryside. So this is also a difference to the US, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny because the house that I lived in before I moved to Germany, I had a front porch and I had a yard, and I lived very close to Harvard Square. So I lived like in the north part of Boston, right across from like Cambridge, where Harvard is. Um, and it was funny that there was enough room, like enough space to have those things there. And I think that I don't know, I guess it depends because I was also like visiting a friend recently and they have a similar like they have a nice backyard where they live and they live just a couple streets away from me. So
Okay.
I think it maybe depends. Like I think there are some cities in the US that do have more room for houses, for example. Whereas in Germany, especially in Berlin, yeah, it is just more apartment buildings overall.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's see, Apricus brings up a good point with the they say North US is very different from South US. I think that's a thing too. When we were talking about, you know, there's regional differences as well. And Alicia, you said that when you go to the US, like Americans are very warm and welcoming. I don't agree with that for Boston and New York, for example. Like, we're known for being colder people. And when I've only been to the South once, and the one time that I went, there was this one woman, she had a really strong Southern accent, and she was like very friendly towards me. And I was just kind of like, what does she want? Like, why is she like, I'm like, we're not friends. And
she's just being nice to me.
she was being nice, but I think also part of it was like, I'm a city boy. Like, I normally live in the city, and I was in like a very rural area. I was in a place where the population was probably like about 100 or less for that like little town.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, like, and also just like looking at me too, I had some kind of like gay-ish like features to me, I felt, or like the way that I was talking was different. And I was just like, oh, what if she's like some like hillbilly redneck who's like, hates gay people. And then here, it's bringing up stereotypes as well of like, she's from the South and we're in a rural place. So she must be, she must have these points of view.
So it happens even inside your own country, not just outside. Okay.
Of course.
Oh, there's someone wants to come in. Who is
really?
it? Let's see. Let's try to find out.
Hi,
Emily.
I heard you guys were saying some pretty crazy stuff about Americans.
I didn't say anything yet. Let me start.
You said that all Americans eat fast food.
Okay.
All Americans eat fast food.
And
okay,
Mauro said that you were all having a weapon. He said it. I had no time to say it. He said it. The weapon thing, of course. You all have a gun at home.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't. Brian, do you have a gun?
I don't. I've never had a gun, and I've never touched a gun or shot a gun.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know people who have.
A lot of people in Oklahoma do.
Yeah.
And you're from
shot a
Oklahoma,
gun,
so.
but I hated it.
So in your house, you wouldn't, or in your house in Oklahoma, you didn't have a gun?
Oh, my dad has like a lot.
Okay.
I will not be having a gun.
You see?
But at least you were close to guns, so if they were in your house.
Yeah, I didn't know where they were, thank God.
Okay.
But
Did that make you? This is a sincere question, because also in Massachusetts, I think we have like the lowest amount of guns per capita or something out of the U.S. And Boston is the capital of Massachusetts, in case that's viewers are curious of where that is. So I haven't really been around guns much. I think maybe because of that, and like knowing that you had guns in the house growing up, did that ever like make you nervous in some way?
I mean, when I was a kid and stuff, you mean?
Yeah, like whenever you were living where there were guns.
When you don't know any better, you don't like, all I knew is my parents were like, we're not telling you where they are. And if you ever see one, which I wouldn't, don't touch it. And it was like, okay. But when we would go like camping and stuff, my dad and like my sister would like shoot like target practice out in the woods or whatever. I hated it. So I never did it and it scared me. But yeah. But that's also like a very Southern thing. Like, I don't think, that's very common in like where Brian's from.
Yeah. I mean, my brother-in-law, he has, I think he has guns. I know he has like one of those intense like crossbows.
Oh, that's like,
but I think
scarier.
he also goes hunting too. I mean, I think he likes rural parts of New England, so the northeast part of the US. And so I think he likes to go hunting for like deer and stuff like that too. And I think, that's part of it, partially a culture thing.
Someone is saying the Germans I chat with on Tandem find me to be a very typical American Texan because I own 2 shotguns and go shooting every weekend. Yeah, I guess that sounds like a cliche American, right?
Like a cliche, yeah, completely.
Yeah, especially Texan. Yeah. Like when I think of guns, I think of like the South.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. So what do you think about, Alicia was saying that when she thinks of Americans, she thinks of everything being huge, like huge refrigerators, huge cars, huge supermarkets.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's one of those things too. Like when I was younger, I didn't know any better. So it was normal to me. But I've lived in Germany almost 10 years now. And when I go home, I'm always like, whoa. Like,
Does
there's
it
a lot
surprise
of
you what the Yeah, me too.
Like,
That happened when I went home as well. I was just like, I remember washing my clothes in a washing machine it was huge, and I didn't have that many clothes, and I was just like, what am I doing with this enormous
yeah,
washing
it's
machine?
all huge. And like everyone not everyone, but housing is very affordable in Oklahoma. So like most people I know have houses. And so yeah, they're like just everything's massive.
And do you guys feel more comfortable at like an American supermarket or
Oh my gosh.
at a German one?
Oh my God,
American
American,
supermarkets are the
it's
best.
the best. We talk about this almost every day. Like I'll be calling Emily while I'm shopping in a German supermarket, and I'll just be like crying a little bit, like, "Oh, I miss my." And this is one of the other things that kills me about. Okay, sorry, I'm like very passionate right now, but here we go. So people are like, "Oh, American eat like junk, trash food, whatever," and I'm like, "You've never had a Trader Joe's frozen bean burrito," and like they're so magical because you keep them in the fridge, you keep in the freezer. You microwave them, you cut it with an avocado, cut up a tomato, squeeze some lime on it, and that thing is perfection. And it's like no work, and it's just a delicious bean burrito. And there's so many other little things like that too, where it's, I don't know, I think part of it might be as well that I grew up having that, but it's not necessarily just junk food. It's also like there's like snacks, there is junk food that I like from there too, but there's also like more like middle of the road food that yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I mean, Americans, I mean, like, where do you think avocado toast came from? That's like the quintessential healthy food. Like, that's American. It's like California food right there. And so,
So you
like,
mean just like toast with avocado on top?
and like egg or like whatever, like the typical like
Seeds,
Okay, yeah.
brunch
everything
food,
bagel, seasoning.
I think Americans are I think it's a little bit of like, there are the crazy super health nuts who hike every morning and like cycle and do triathlons. And then you have the Americans who eat McDonald's all the time. But like America's a huge country. And so we have the whole spectrum of like food and people.
Okay. Did you guys change your eating habits when you came to Germany?
I just had to learn how to make a lot of my favorite things like from scratch instead of like being able to go get them. But not really, no.
Yeah, I'm the same. I like, for example, there are a couple kinds of cheeses in the US that I really love that Germany doesn't have. Like pepper jack, or even just like, oh my God, like just like regular American cheese, sharp cheddar. Where do you get sharp cheddar? Do you know, Emily?
No.
Oh, and
Is that spicy cheddar or what is that?
it's like it's a bitter cheddar cheese, but it's like bitter in a way that I've never had in Europe. I've never had a cheese, I don't think, that's been bitter in this way before. I think some French cheeses are a bit similar to it, but it's just so damn good, and I can't get it in Europe. And I think if Europeans tried it, they would be like, "Oh wow, this is good." But then Europeans are like, "American cheese is trash."
American
And I'm
cheese
like,
isn't
"Listen,
real."
we'll go to America. I will take you grocery shopping. We'll see how amazing the supermarket is. We'll cook for you, and you will love it." I'm not saying that German and French and all other European food is not good. I know it's wonderful.
But you know what's ironic? We say so many bad things about Americans and their lifestyle, but we are adapting it. Everything is coming, we're adapting to their culture. We have their movies. We have a lot of their fast food restaurants now. I mean, everything is becoming Americanized in Europe as well. Yeah. So we shouldn't be, saying so many bad things about them.
I know.
Okay, true. Honest answers here. How often do all of you eat fast food? How many times a year would you say?
But what is fast food? Is it like I go to a fast food restaurant and buy a burger, or is it just like when I go to
if you make French fries at home, is that fast food, Brian?
No. I'm gonna say actually going to a fast food restaurant.
Maybe twice a month.
5 times a year, man. I really don't do it anymore. Yeah,
and just like a falafel, like kebab kind of thing. Is that fast food? Would you say?
I think it's part of fast food. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
it is okay. So
when I think of fast food, I think of like if that chain has a drive-through, and if so maybe not that exact location, but like McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, that kind of thing. I don't
Mm.
know. I would
Okay.
say maybe once every 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think same here,
Sometimes
yeah.
there's like random parts of my life where I have it like 3 times in a month. It's like,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and I do love fast food actually, but when I eat it, it's like I love it and I hate it at the same time. And I only for something like, KFC, I mean I never eat at KFC. Maybe McDonald's or Burger King I eat at about maybe once a year or twice a year. But I definitely get like falafel wraps or something like twice a month.
Mary is saying, "Oh, Zoe, hello. We remember you from Anita and Emily's live."
Yeah.
Zozo.
Zoe went back
Where
to
is she?
she was
Is she on the couch?
I don't know if you could hear her, but she was crying just now because she wanted me to play, and she's brought all of her toys to me. But now she's
Aw.
gone under the blanket because
Come on, Mom, stop being so boring.
Brian is saying, the other Brian, yes, you can get large homes in many areas of the US and much cheaper than in other places.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like
Not
in Germany, I will never be able to afford a house. That's 100%
Yeah.
sure.
They're so expensive now. It's just insane.
Brian, you have to translate this one to Emily.
Amélie, les Américaines draguent beaucoup, elles prennent l'initiative.
L'initiative, ouais.
It says American girls flirt a lot. They take initiative. I almost like make the first move.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like American girls are just typically pretty like smiley and happy, and I think a lot of men think that that means they like them when it just means that we're happy.
Yeah.
And then in comparison, how donc par rapport à quoi, Mauro? Comme par rapport
Yeah. Tu compares avec quoi, Mauro? Tu compares avec les femmes en Europe, avec ton expérience personnelle? Why did you say that?
Yeah, compared to like people from where?
Yeah.
Is what we were
Are
asking.
you asking me?
Well, we were asking Mauro.
Mauro, let's see what he says. Yeah.
Interesting.
Helena is saying, kind of like what I said before, Americans are indeed criticized for their lazy lifestyle, but everyone wants to go there. It's true.
It is true. I
Yeah,
know.
the
It sounds
laziness-
very American. I say this sometimes, and I know I sound super American, but it's like, okay, everybody talks smack or like talks bad about us, but they keep taking our stuff and wanting to do our things and coming and visiting, and they're like picking and choosing what they want to like complain about.
True. Yeah. So it's really unfair.
But it's funny. I remember I was living in the suburbs where I drove everywhere, like the suburbs of Boston. And then I remember finally moving to Boston and then having to start walking to a lot more places. And in the beginning, I was like, are you serious? Like, I really don't want to have to walk this much. And before I had already lived in France and in China. So I was experienced with like walking a lot. But I did have this like really American moment of like, oh, do we really have to walk? And now
that reminds me of the dialogue we filmed together.
Yeah.
I think that recently went live, right? On the English channel.
Yeah, like a month or two ago. Yeah.
That was so fun to film. Yeah. Ali is saying, I've learned, German with Jenny until B2, and now I'm starting B1 with Alicia. That's so cool.
So nice.
Learning German. There are even some people who are learning all 3 languages at Lingoni. That's always pretty
Well,
nice.
hello to them. A special hello to them.
Yeah. So we've been talking about Americans a lot. So how about we talk about the French now?
No.
On that note, then I will leave you guys. I've never even been to France, so I have nothing to say about France right now.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you
Very
for joining
good.
us, Emily, and have a nice
Thanks for-
afternoon.
Yeah,
Have so fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, à bientôt.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So Alicia, let's talk about French cliches. So maybe I should say what I think about the French. I mean, I love the French. I go to France a lot. I love speaking French. French is my favorite language. That's why it's the second Lingoni language.
Yeah.
So, but I guess my cliches would be they drink wine all day long at every meal. I don't really know if I have a lot of other cliches. They eat baguette, but they really do all the time, right? I mean, they
But
eat it for
all the
lunch.
time. Let's say, yeah,
for
it's the
dinner.
typical bread we usually
Yeah, this
go
isn't a
for.
cliche. This is a truth.
Somehow,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
it's
la
true.
baguette, okay, yeah. Wine, I don't like wine, for example, so that doesn't work for me. But yeah, if Celine was here, she would say yes, completely. So
So you
okay.
never drink wine?
No,
Oh,
white
I
wine a
love
little
wine.
bit, and then I got
Do you
tired.
know? Does France do? Do you know Charlotte? Trying to think of. I don't think I've ever seen it in France. It's like seltzer water, like bubbly water mixed with wine together.
Ah, yeah. How do you call it?
I don't know the English word, but in German it's like
Schorle.
like Weinschorle.
Oh, okay.
Schorle is always mixed like juice with water or well, what's Weinschorle actually? What is that mixture?
It's a bubbly water with wine.
Oh yeah, with
It's
wine.
funny
Yeah.
because the word for bubbly water in English, there's like a million words, like carbonated water, bubbly water, seltzer, sparkling water.
Yeah.
So many
Realizing
French.
this recently.
So the French are rude. Yes. Okay.
Do you agree?
No. Again, I don't, because I find it very unfair for the all the French that are so nice. So usually now I don't get the French are rude. I get, oh really, you're from Paris? Oh, then you're rude and arrogant and you're not nice, and surprisingly you speak a bit of English, and this I have to accept a little bit.
Are
Like,
you from
most
Paris?
people from Paris are not the nicest. Yeah. So
Okay.
south of Paris, like 8 kilometers outside of Paris, like really the worst people. Like
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
yeah. Don't get any worse. But then I think, man, if these poor people not living in, I don't, either in the south, because it's very different. I was myself finding out about France and its people when I went to the south of France, when we traveled with my husband like 5 years ago for 2 weeks south of France, and I was like, wow, that's so nice. And I was not used to that, like myself. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame for all the other French people that are cool. But I think it's because of Paris that now it's like, oh, they're so rude. So I understand. I don't agree. Est-ce qu'on porte des bérets? Some of us. But I prefer the new cliche now, because the beret is now out of fashion. The new thing, which is quite true, I realized actually, is that lots of men and women love wearing scarves. And it's true. All of my friends do, actually. Like from January until the end of June, then when it gets really warm, they stop. They always have a little scarf,
Really?
little thing around their neck.
I
Men
love that
and women.
look.
I have never realized that.
I
When
see it
they
a little
go,
bit in Berlin on men sometimes too, and I'm like, maybe I'll
when
get a
are you
scarf.
French? You're not wearing a scarf. And I was like, that's so weird. And then I went to France like 2 weeks later, and I remember because I was like, oh man, that was a good one. It's true. We are all wearing scarves for no reason. We do not do very late.
And it's huge scarves, like they cover everything. Like
yeah,
right?
also
Those
yeah,
kinds of
I love
scarves.
that. Yeah, it's true. It's the
Well, people are really becoming
sorry,
active
I
now.
missed the beginning of the, because someone said you eat very late. Yeah, here, and that's not true though. I think because now I live in Spain and I can tell you French people do not eat late at night. No. It's 8 p.m. That's really the normal time, and here it's 9:10. So I think like France is not completely yet un pays méditerranéen. We are not completely part of it, and we are not either like the northern country, right there in the middle. So we are a bit in the middle for everything, but we don't eat at 6 p.m., but not late, not really.
Okay.
No.
So for German, 6 p.m. 8 p.m. would be really late. I think.
Yeah, for Americans too. Yeah.
So we're rude, but we're very funny. I agree with that, Mary. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that one too. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're very discriminating inside our country. This is also very rough to hear. It's like, it's interesting, but at the same time, it's so weird because, as I told you before, I come from the suburbs of Paris. And to be very honest with you, I think I grew up like in classes where I used to go now to school and everything. It was public. Yeah. I mean, all the time, even when I was at university, it's always been like public schools and everything, college, university and everything. And I think when I was from 11 until 15 in my classes, we had easily 70% of the people that were from, like, at least parents were like coming from the immigration. And of course, my friends were all born in France. But I mean, I don't know. I guess this, you see, I think comes from the maybe more countryside people from villages and stuff. But I have the feeling that it's again like so out of fashion to say that we are like because this is basically saying you're a bit racist, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm sure we have some genius people who are extremely racist in France, of course. But the fact that it can be a cliche is a bit painful, you see, because France is really one of the countries that is definitely super into la mixité. And so yeah, but again, it's something I've heard many times. So we are rude again, so that's fine. This is official now.
I don't know. I feel like it depends on the region. Also, maybe in Paris, everyone tends to be a bit more stressed, but in the South, they seem to be more relaxed.
Yeah, but that's true. Huh? That's a fact. I think in big cities, it's always a bit fashion. Yeah, apparently same. You see, it's like maybe again we think Paris, Bordeaux, Lyon, big cities. They love to be fashionable and stuff. It's true that the fashion in France is like very. Sometimes I don't do anything special, nothing at all. It's like, oh, you look so French. The style, you have so much style.
Oh,
like,
really? You're born with that. You're born with that.
God. Apparently. I think we have a big cliché here. Pour un Français, sur la table le matin. You see? Here we are. La baguette, the cheese, butter, and confiture. How is that? Jam, maybe? Or marmalade?
Jam or jelly. I can never remember the difference between the two.
But I have to say, the baguette is just so good. I could just eat it all the time. It's so good. I mean, we have baguette too in Germany, but it's not even close.
It's like the croissant. It's not the same. It's really not the same.
No,
here in Spain,
really
they put this sticky thing on top of it. I have no idea what it is. They paint it with some sticky sugar, and you cannot eat it properly. And it's so.
Yeah, I know, and it sticks to your fingers. And
why like, you should do that? So you're just wasting a nice croissant, putting some sticky stuff on top of it. I don't get it. Les Français sont exigeants sur It's a bit like they really want people to speak French. They're not very good into learning languages. And on top of that, they want you to speak like French properly. If you say something which is not exactly, they will just like make sure you get the pronunciation right.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, that's true though. Again, cliché. But some of them complètement.
But even like between like among French people, I've noticed this too, is that like I feel like French people are very passionate about like what is the correct way to speak French.
Yeah. C'est vrai. Les Parisiens sont sympathiques. So there is always one person who will say, that's not true. I went to Paris and everyone was super nice.
But I guess in the gift shops in Paris, they need to be nice because they want to sell stuff, right? So they can't afford to be rude, right?
Yeah, but the taxi driver should be nice to you. In a restaurant, the waiter should be nice to you because you're ordering food and you're paying for that. So you're paying salary and still it will be super rude. Taxi driver, if he doesn't understand you, if you say, I want to go there, and he's like, that's not expensive enough, then he will just drive through. I mean,
yeah, I can imagine that. I don't really remember these things specifically with France, but maybe I'm getting a little bit into German stereotypes here, but I've had it where it's been like the other day I was going to this sort of like food truck, and I was going to order some food, and the guy the guy working there was talking to this couple. They were talking in Spanish, and I was like, oh, maybe I can talk to them in Spanish when I like go up to them. And then he just looked at me and he's like, jetzt habe ich schon Feierabend. And he was like, oh, it's like I'm done with my workday now. And I was like, okay, don't take my business, like fine. And it was just like, it was like very dry and very like rude, I found.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that thing too, where it's like you said, you know, you would imagine people in gift shops would be nice in order to sell you more stuff.
True. Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah. So in the US, this would never happen. They would always like.
It would be shocking if, like, I mean, I think in the service industry, whether, you know, you're in retail or in, you know, food service, yeah, I mean, the name of the game, the way that you like increase sales, do better, and also just the norm, the culture is to be polite, and to be helpful. So yeah, and I love that. I miss that. Yeah,
it must be shocking to you every time you experience German rudeness, right?
Yeah, but I was in a stationery store today, and the woman working there was like, oh, can I help you find anything? And I was like, oh, yes, you can. And then she had these they have these like little cone things with like ribbons on top. And I was like, what is that? I was like, is that a hat? And she's like, no, it's for the first day of school for German kids. And she took time. She explained to me for like 5 minutes what it was. And I was like, wow. I was like, you're the nicest person I've ever met who works at a store in Germany or in Berlin. In Berlin. Let's
Okay.
specify.
Brian, what about your cliches about the French?
Yeah. So it's funny because I wrote something down and now I can't read my handwriting. That they're snobby, that they argue a lot. This is personally something I enjoy because I think the way in which, because it goes in with the humor, like the arguing and the way that they kind of like stab you with their words, it's in a way that makes you also laugh as you're getting stabbed. And and I think like the insults or the way that people are like, the way that people like criticize or insult you in French, I think I've always found it so comical, and I enjoy it actually.
Oh, really?
And I love to argue with French people. It's really fun. Or like my friends back in France, at least. And then also that actually I got this one from a French person who won't be named, but that French people are smelly and they don't shower.
Why is there that cliche? I don't get it.
Do you remember why, Brian? Did the person tell you why?
The person told me that it had something to do with a member of royalty who didn't shower. I wonder if this also goes with I think there's this really like old American stereotype, one that's probably from like the 70s or something, of like French women don't shave their armpits or their legs. God forbid, and
I think they say that about Germans too, right?
I've never heard. I think in the US, I've always heard about French people. That's like the stereotype. They're like, oh, I heard that French people don't shave their armpits or their legs.
French women.
Or French women.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah. That's right. There's only.
Well, I think in the 90s, I think we really didn't do that. They really didn't do that.
Where?
The 80s and 90s. Remember in the 80s and 90s?
It was something you didn't have to do that much. Then it became like, oh no, zero hair, and now we are back to come on, let's all have hair and be natural and stop like trying to respect some norms we don't care about. I'm not too sure where I am in that, but okay, you do whatever you want. But one thing is sure is that when you say, oh, but the French ladies and French women, they never like shave their armpits and they don't shave in general, then it's like I think it's funny now, but then you will be easily surprised. Like, are you French? How come you actually? I think it's funny, but yeah, I think we had another one. I just wanted to highlight because you said something. No, the snobbish thing, and then okay, and now the smelly thing. Yeah, so we smell bad, and what else?
Just the humor tied in with the arguing.
That's where I wanted to rebound when you said, they're arguing a lot. Yes, and complaining a lot, like all the time. If you don't complain at least 3-4 times, they're like, ça va?
Are you even French?
Ça va, mais and then immediately like the face expression, like. But
I think that really is true, because I noticed that about almost every French person, the complaint.
It has to be. There is a little something that fucked up your day already, and it's 9 a.m. and everything is cool, and you're cool, but you still have to say, like the elevator took so long to come today when I pushed the button. It's always a little something to complain, and then you will laugh at the other one, like, oh man, you're always complaining about blah blah blah. But it's true, and we're also very romantic. Yeah, okay, so romantic.
Yes,
many people drinking wine, but very romantic.
Yeah, and the language sounds very romantic. That's what a lot of people say.
It's a beautiful language. Yeah, it's too bad that it's your first language, because I think if you heard it as a second, you'd be like, wow, this is really something special. Yeah, I'm not sure we can appreciate a second language, or for our first language like we can a second. What else? It seems in
Merci, French. Mary is always here to support me. She's mine.
Yeah, Mary loves you. She said something really nice about you. This right here. I feel your French personality and style so strongly, although I suppose you don't do it on purpose. It's in it.
Voilà. Merci, Marie.
And another one. I feel that I'm unconsciously copying your mimics and speech style. When I try
Yeah,
to-
but this happens though. I guess. Yeah, if you're really learning for the first time with a teacher and you stick to this teacher, it's true that you will have, even if you don't want to, you will have the way I speak or some of the gesture, especially because I do a lot of face and moves and even in the way I speak sometimes. So I guess you will have it at some point. I'm sorry about that, Mary, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of like a little act that you put on, right? And I think when I speak French, I also do the kind of like, ah bon, non, mais c'est bof bof là.
Voilà.
Like,
Parfait.
but I think when I'm doing it, it's again, it's because it's not my first language, I don't feel it as much. I'm kind of just like putting an act on. So I think that's also why it's fun for me,
Yeah. Well, they say that when you learn a language and you speak a foreign language, your personality changes. Do you guys agree?
A little bit, yeah. There is some jokes and some way of speaking that it wouldn't work like in Spanish or in French or in English. It's true. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And for everyone has an opinion. This is another cliche, like what? But again, cliche. I don't know. Like the constantly on a strike. Like, okay. So I had a student who was like, okay, so are you on a strike today in France? Like, what happened? Is the price of the olive oil like too expensive now? And I was like, oh God. But it's a bit like that. But some other students were also telling me, I think it's really good. They're really the kind of people who do not forget that. Like the power to the people, and you don't let too much people deciding for yourself. So you really make sure that you raise your voice and you stick together and you say, no, we really don't like that, and we're not going to be but they decided. And I thought it was cool, man. The fact that they're always talking about the revolution and the fact that it's cool what you did with the revolution. Is like, yeah, it's cool. And that maybe this stayed a little bit in our DNA. It's like, you don't like it, you complain, but as much as you would complain because it's windy today, you complain because there was a decision made and you're not okay with that. And indeed, we're very much into demonstration and strike, and we don't agree and blah, blah, blah. And we should get that many signatures to make sure they don't do this and that. I'm not too sure I take this. You see, like, we're smelly, rude, arrogant. It's not too nice to hear. But the fact that we're complaining to this scale, like not the I don't know what, something happened and I'm complaining, but to this big scale, and we're all together.
You don't take shit, stand up for yourselves.
I think that's not too bad, actually. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. In some cultures, they just accept everything and just do whatever they're told.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other French cliche, Brian?
I think we've really between the three of us and the
guys
in the comments,
also.
yeah, I think we really hit the main ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Right, Jenny. You're up next.
Here someone says French people, they make funny noises like vessel sounds.
I'm not sure what they mean by vessel sounds.
I know the French are like oh la la.
Oh la la, yeah.
Oh la la.
This one is very good to let it out if you're annoyed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Do you guys make any other noises?
Yeah, a lot. When you don't know, like this is a very common.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I don't know. And lots of little thing you say when something is falling. Like opla. This is for opla. Why opla? We say opla all the time.
Yeah, and like when you like do a little something, you push a button, you be like tuck, add some sugar.
Like stupid noises. Yeah, it's true all the time. Yeah.
They're good though. I don't know. They just it makes life a little more like animated and comical, I think. Yeah.
Helena is asking a question. Is there any how do you say that word, Brian?
Animosité would be the same in French, so I know.
Animosity
between French and Germans due to the World War II. Not in our generation, right?
Yeah, that's the good answer. It's like, again, this is like, man, that's it. What am I going to say to Jenny? Like, what is she going to tell me now? Well, because in 1940, it's like, yeah, I know.
My parents weren't planned yet in the war, so
exactly. So yeah, that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Mauro will think about. You just have to come to Barcelona, and I would be super happy to do like a real class with you and Mary, and we talk about something. Let's do that, and we do a
Oh,
live.
that'd be so cool.
3 of us. You just have to come to Barcelona. It's not too difficult. Organize yourselves, guys.
What?
Okay.
Where is Mauro again?
I'm about to say something stupid, so I'm not going to say it. I think it's from Brazil, but I don't know if he really is in Brazil now. I'm not sure. I don't know. He's gonna tell me now.
I feel like I know some Brazilian Mauros, so
Could be. Yeah, I think.
Durgesh is asking, what are the differences between the French and the Germans? I guess, yeah.
But now we will see that. Is it? It's Brazil. So it's not that easy for the traveling thing, I think. Even though he has a sister who lives in Lyon, I think. So when are you visiting your sister, Mauro?
Wow, you know your audience so well, Alicia.
And then he told me, I have no sister. No, but I really do have a sister.
It's funny. The French R is easy for Germans. Actually, it's the same R, right? It's the what is the name of it? The R that comes from your throat.
yeah. Would you call it like a glottal R?
Yes, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, exactly. The water.
Yeah, I find the French R is a little harder than the German R. Like, because I used to think there are some sounds between the two languages that I thought were just exactly the same, which English being my first language, I was like, oh, well, this second language will help me learn a third one. But I think the German one is a little softer. Like the French one can be really like really rolling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then another difference is the U sound in French. The U is like always a full-on U. There's no short like what is it, Mützen, like hats or something.
Oh, it's always U. It's never a short one.
Yeah, like in German. So German has like a short, like kind of more open U.
Yeah.
Anyway, random. Yeah.
What's the word in French with U?
But I think it's the opposite. In French, it's like U, like la rue,
A rue. Yes.
voiture,
Exactly.
une flûte. I think it's a clear U, but it's quite short. We don't really have long sound or même pointu.
I mean, I guess maybe the duration is one thing, but it's also the kind of like the actual, like if you write it out in IPA or something, like German it'll be written like U umlaut, but it'll be like instead of being like an U, it would be like almost more like an sound or something.
Okay.
But with French, like when it's just a U, when it's one of those like U moments, it's like a proper full U. And if you apply that to everywhere there's an U umlaut in German, it's like it's gonna sound weird. It's like off.
Was it hard for you to learn the U sound, Brian? Because I know for Americans this is not a natural sound.
It was when I was 17 and first learning French.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me to learn like how German is actually pronounced without all of the U's everywhere. And my first couple months of living in Germany, people were like, "You are French. When you speak French, when you speak German, you have a very French accent." But that has since changed. All right, so should we move on to German stereotypes?
Yeah, sure. Oh God, I'm scared.
Alicia, do you want to go first?
Shall I? Okay. So the Germans are wearing sandals or flip-flops, in summer with very high socks, like
white, right?
White socks. That's my idea of you. You do that a lot. You love beer. And you have very heavy breakfasts, probably sausage and stuff like that. You respect the environment a lot. Like, the idea of, German, they're very respectful with the environment. Maybe less when I was talking about the American, we have this real idea that they want massive cars and they don't care. Very hardworking, very accurate and precise. When they have to do a job, they do it well, right on time, and everything is well organized. That's not a very French thing in the end, I think. A bit cold people, not too much before I read like no sense of humor, like they're very just normal. It's not about being fun here. And they are loud tourists in Barcelona. They are one of the loudest tourists in Barcelona. I have proof. So very, very quiet and distinguished in their country, and then it's holiday time and
yeah, they really. exaggerate when they're on vacation. Okay, so maybe we can talk about the sandals first. So
Let's do so, please.
Starting off easy.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my water.
So I don't know. I do see older men wearing sandals with white socks when they're on vacation. Yeah, but I don't know. Younger people, I don't think they do that, and I don't even own sandals, so it definitely
Okay.
doesn't apply to me. But I guess it would apply to maybe to the older generation. Yeah.
Okay.
I would probably, if I saw a man wearing sandals with white socks, I was like in France, let's say, I would say, okay, that's probably a German one.
Exactly. That's what I meant. Yeah, exactly.
Really? I'm more
German
German than you, Jenny. Today I was wearing Birkenstocks with socks.
with white socks.
Ooh.
I don't own white socks, but with
Okay.
socks.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So, but you probably did that before coming to Germany, right?
No, I would never have done it, but I see it all the time in Germany. So
You
I
do?
do it. I'm like, it's okay doing it. It's comfortable, and also like it just feels more hygienic than like just wearing sandals.
Yeah, because your feet get so sweaty, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, and they get
But
like
it's
dirty
not
and
the
stuff.
point, but yeah, okay. Whatever. Okay.
Whatever. You're just jealous that you are in a place that doesn't embrace socks and Birkenstocks. Birkenstocks, we'll call it the look.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Okay, and then maybe the next stereotype or cliche. Well, people always say, of course, that Germans eat sausages and drink beer all the time. Well, and you were saying that we like heavy breakfasts, and I think that actually is true. We really like
okay.
heavy breakfasts. We eat Brötchen, which are like bread rolls, and we have Aufschnitt, which is like cold cuts in English, I think, right?
Yeah.
So we definitely love to eat that for breakfast. We also eat egg for breakfast, and yeah, breakfast for us is a big meal. Like I know that when I went to France or Italy, even their breakfast is like a tiny little piece of
True.
like
Yeah.
It's a
Like a toast
croissant.
and orange juice, coffee. that's
yeah,
it.
and coffee, or even just coffee, and that's it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. I'm starving. I need to eat at 8 a.m. I need to have real breakfast. So I think
Mm-mm.
that's actually true. The truth. I don't think that's a
Ooh.
stereotype. Or, I mean, of course, definitely there are Germans who like to eat just cereal or who don't eat at all in the morning. I know a
Exactly.
ton of Germans who don't like to eat in the morning because their stomach isn't ready to digest food yet.
Mhm.
But in general, they do eat heavy breakfasts.
Heavy
Yeah.
breakfast.
Did you notice that too, Brian?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because the US has this like kind of classic, American eggs and bacon with toast. It would be like a classic American breakfast or
Okay.
cereal. But I've had breakfast with Germans before, and it's usually too heavy for me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like usually when I have breakfast, I'll have like a piece of toast with peanut butter and coffee.
Okay.
Or maybe like oatmeal, but I can't make too much. I can only make like a small amount because
Yeah.
I don't know, I just woke up and like that's it.
Okay. What about you, Alicia? Have you ever had a German breakfast?
But is it not very similar to the British breakfast where there are indeed like you can have meat in the morning and the sausage thing? I think I've never had sausage in the morning though. Eggs and stuff, I love it. And heavy breakfast, completely in favor of that. But the fact that you can have a meal like really even like I don't know beans or this is a bit crazy. I don't feel like that
Yeah.
anymore.
I think beans is more British, right? I think.
Okay,
we
that's the
have
British
beans
one.
in the
Okay.
morning.
Yeah, that's the British breakfast.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I think we have a guest here. Who is this?
Who is
Ooh, I
that?
can't
And I
believe
think it
it.
would be sollicité.
Jacqueline!
Hi.
Hi guys.
Important here.
Yeah, I wanted
Welcome.
to support Jenny a
Willkommen.
little bit.
So what do you think about German breakfasts, Jacqueline? Is it true? Do we always need really heavy breakfasts?
Well, yeah, I think that's true. Well, I also like to eat porridge in the morning with a lot of fruit and nuts, etc. But I also like to have like heavy breakfast, and I also like beans and tomato sauce.
Ah, you see?
In the morning?
Wait, beans and
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Oh, no, that's not
definitely.
true.
Finding out about your
Wow.
own sister. Jen.
Yeah.
So how do you eat do you just like take a bowl, like fill it with beans and tomato sauce and just like eat it, or
Well, I heat it up so that it's
okay.
warm, and I usually eat it together with scrambled tofu, like to
Oh,
imitate
that sounds
scrambled
really
eggs.
good.
And that together is like amazing with bread or Brötchen, bread rolls.
You'll have to
Yeah.
do a video on your recipe or something because I want to try this. And
She
then
did
do you
one.
the beans, do you? I don't know. I'm very particular with my beans, and I hardly ever buy canned beans. I always buy them like hard and then like soak them and
Oh,
cook
okay.
them.
I don't do
Um,
that. I'm like lazy. I buy it in a glass
oh,
jar
does it
where
come
the
with the
tomato
tomato
sauce.
in it?
Yeah. It's already in
Oh,
there. Yeah.
perfect. I'll try it. Hey, don't knock it
Yeah.
till you
Well,
try it, they
I
say.
think it's great. I think it's
I
really
guess
good.
at 11 a.m. I would be ready for that, like brunch style. Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
don't
it would
do that
definitely have to
every
be a dinner
day.
thing for me, but yeah, I'll try it, period. That's the start.
Yeah, but I don't do it every day. This would be more like a really special breakfast for me if I have a lot of time, but I don't do it every day.
And we were talking about sandals before. So Brian wore sandals today with socks. So do you think that's typical for Germans?
Um,
Just
well, I don't think that young people do that, although I see that it has become a trend.
Oh yeah,
That
sure.
right at the moment, like a nerd style is like in style. And
That's true.
I saw people like put on white socks and pull them like super high with sandals. So, but
True.
I don't do it, Jenny. You don't do it, but I mostly see it on older people.
Yeah. Yeah.
you just got to get that hipster style.
Yeah.
Like me.
Well, I recently got glasses, so yeah, halfway there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very comfortable too.
Carl
Glasses or
says a German
sandals?
breakfast reminds me
The
of what we call brunch
sandals.
in the US.
Yeah. A German breakfast reminds me of what we call brunch in the US. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But
Is
yeah,
that true,
this
Brian?
is what Germans do.
I don't know. I think at brunch I still eat the same. Like I wouldn't have beans at brunch, but I still eat the same stuff at brunch normally as I would at breakfast. It's just like later in the day, or I'll open it up to like some breakfast sandwiches or something. I love me a breakfast sandwich. Also, I like the point here on the Schlagermusik and Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's definitely. I think when Americans think of like when you say Germany to an American, they picture like lederhosen,
Mhm.
like Schlagermusik and Oktoberfest.
Well, I guess in Bavaria, where I live, this is much more common than in the rest of Germany. And I think the whole year when you go like into the city, you everywhere, well, they're not everywhere, but you always see people wearing it because whenever you go to like local festivals or parties or in the Biergarten, then it's super common to wear this. Or of course,
I
you
need to
wear it
get
at the
some.
Oktoberfest. Yeah. And this also refers to Schlagermusik. Yeah, if you visit the Oktoberfest, this is like, yeah, it's only Schlagermusik. So you really have to like it if you visit the Oktoberfest, or you have to drink so much that you don't hear it anymore.
You've been there a few times to the Oktoberfest, Jacqueline, right?
Yeah, I've been there, I don't know, 3-4 times maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never been there. I don't think I would go because I don't like beer. So
No, I hate it too, but I went and it's very funny.
you've
and
been to the Oktoberfest in Munich?
Yeah, 2010
Really?
or 2011.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Mm.
But isn't the beer like really expensive there now?
I have no memories of it. Don't ask me why. But I
Oh my
remember.
god!
And it's
Wait,
true, I
Alicia,
don't
you said you
remember.
don't like beer either?
No, I hate it. Beer is
Okay,
really
no
like,
beer, no
no.
wine.
It's a complete no.
But you can also always mix it with lemonade, and then it's fine. And actually,
That's true.
the Oktoberfest serves like beer which has much more alcohol in it, so you get drunk like super fast.
Oh
And
no!
you can only buy like 1 liter jars. It's called a mass. So and it costs between I think it's almost like 12 euros or something like that.
So you really
Wow.
get, I think, wow, one drink and I would be done. I'm such a lightweight. And so, like you
Me
said that,
too.
you were like, it's higher alcohol than normal and you can only get a 1 liter like mug
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
So there's no way. It would have to be one beer for me and I'd have to split it with someone. Wait,
Yeah.
oh wow.
Brian, what about your stereotypes of Germans? Or cliches? Do you even have any still? I mean, you've been living here for
Yeah,
Do you
well,
dare?
they've changed since I've moved here. And oh God, here we go. So before I moved to Germany, I definitely had the like Schlagermusik. That was really like when I thought, yeah, the sausages, pretzels, beer, definitely had that. It's funny because I love pretzels. And I love like Bavarian pretzels. It's too bad because I haven't had I've had better pretzels in Boston than in Germany.
Oh.
And I think it's because I'm living in Berlin and not oh my God, Mauro, you like guessed what I was gonna say. It's the lack of sense of humor. Do I feel that living here? I certainly do. As well as like, okay, I just have to say this word before I forget to say it. Berliner Schnauze. And I guess like stoicism maybe is the right expression. But yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of my foreign friends and we have this like stereotype of Germans, especially in Berlin, of just being like cold-hearted, stoic, emotionless people. And then it's funny because like I'll meet somebody who's like has like a puppy dog personality who's German, and I'm like, you're not from Berlin, are you? And they're like, no, I'm from Cologne, or like, no, I'm from like this other place in Germany, and I'm just like, it shows.
Well, Jacqueline,
Okay.
you live in Bavaria, and you notice that there is a huge difference between Bavarians and people from Cologne, where I live right now. You notice that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think like it becomes more more extreme the older the people are. So younger people, they're more or less the same, I would say. But for example, if you're on the street and riding your bike, for instance, on the wrong side of the road, then people would like complain much faster than in Western Germany. So they're like I think you can say they're more harsh, and that's what
Yeah.
I definitely noticed in Bavaria.
Yeah. I experienced that when I was in Bavaria, and this
And
lady
also
just like,
when you drive a car, they drive super fast and they like honk so fast if you make a mistake. So I don't know. Yeah, I definitely noticed that.
yeah.
Mm.
So,
But
are the people from
regarding the
Berlin like the
pretzels,
people? Hmm?
one more thing regarding pretzels, they are in fact much better in Bavaria compared to the rest of
Oh, I
Germany.
have
They're
to go
like really,
visit.
really good.
I love when
Ah,
they're
so
like
you should.
nice and soft and like amazing. What
Yeah,
do
and
you
they're
eat?
like
Do people eat them
huge.
with mustard?
Yeah, they
Oh my
do, but they
God.
also eat it without anything. But mustard is also very typical
Oh,
here,
Yeah.
and
I
together
have
with
to
Honestly,
go
I've never.
visit. I want a nice fluffy pretzel with mustard and a big glass of beer.
Alicia, do
Perfection.
you know what we're talking about when we talk about pretzels?
No,
No?
no. I'm not sure. Maybe if I see it, I'm like, okay. But you've been talking this and the music, I have no idea.
So
Mhm.
pretzels, I guess what is the French word for it?
But I think it's the same. If that's what I think we say bretzel, and it's
Oh
probably
yeah.
the same. But is it like very small and like aperitif thing, or is it the
No,
big
it's
one?
huge. I mean,
Okay.
they come in several sizes, but the classic German one is big, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so
D'accord.
a disclaimer here on like the word pretzel in English compared to in German. So a pretzel, the way you make like one of those big fluffy pretzels is you like make the dough, you boil it in water that has a lot of baking soda in it, and then you roast it, then you bake it, and that's what gives it that brown color on the outside and that flavor. But the like Salzstange auf Deutsch, they're like pretzel sticks. Do I have some? I always have them nearby. Come
Oh, I
on,
remember that
pretzel
you
sticks.
love those.
Yeah, they're like I should have them if I stand up. They're probably like I can't believe I don't have any right here right now. If Emily's watching, I can't. Where are my pretzel sticks? This is the perfect moment. But they're like, or the small kind of like aperitif thing you were
Oui,
saying.
voilà. Mm.
That kind of thing is like we would also call it pretzel in English. I was calling Salzstange, so the pretzel sticks. I called those pretzels to a German friend, and he's like, "That's not a pretzel." He's like, "That's a salt stick." And because he said in German, a pretzel is a shape, not like of a food. Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
c'est comme une baguette de pain, quoi. C'est une baguette.
D'accord.
C'est la forme.
Well, but we also have like the really small brezeln, which are like Salzstangen, but you would also say brezel. But
Okay.
the Bavarian people don't know that this is also called brezel. I hope I'm not saying something wrong here, but I think that's how it is.
I can't believe I can't find my Salzstange. Whatever.
So do you eat more
Fine.
brezel now, Jacqueline, since you've been living in Bavaria?
Well, obviously, yes, but I'm still not a huge fan because for me, they're like super heavy if you eat them, and it's like a stone in the stomach, and you feel it for a long
Yeah.
time. It fills you up really, a lot.
Aren't they made of
Yeah.
like Hefe? What's Hefe in English?
Yeast.
Oh, yeast. Isn't that what they're made of?
Well, it's a yeast dough, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
okay.
think that's
So
what
it's-
makes you why you feel so full, I guess, the yeast, right?
Yeah. We have another stereotype here. Is punctuality a German stereotype, Jacqueline? What do you think? Or rules in general?
I think punctuality is important to German people, like talking in general. Of course, there are exceptions, definitely. But the Germans are pretty accurate. They like to plan, they like to schedule things. They're usually on time. Yeah, I think that's more or less true. Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think, Jenny?
I mean, yeah, I'm not one of those, but yeah.
Well, I am, but Jenny isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of, but I really try to make an effort. Yeah, it used to be worse.
Oh, true.
I lived in other countries for too long. I guess I just
That's the
lost
thing, no? Yeah.
I lost the Germanness.
Yeah, I find that I appreciate it as like because also I think Americans from the Northeast, like where I'm from, are usually pretty punctual as well.
Really?
And so I find it like useful that in Germany, like I mean, I'm early to everything that is important.
Okay.
Like pretty much. So that's like it it works well with like me living here. The rule thing though, I have to say too, like there's a rule for everything in Germany. And
Oh
that's something
yeah.
that when I moved here, like the things that there are rules for, I'm just like, I don't know what we do in the US, but we figure it out. We do not have rules for that.
Like what? Do you have an example?
Like I don't have one. I'm thinking of like riding bikes on the street or something, but no, I think there are rules for that in the US. I think you're not supposed to ride your bike on the sidewalk, but if you do, you're not going to get a fine for it. And I feel like in Germany, you might get a fine for that,
Oh
or like,
yes. Yeah.
or there's like a specific law that says like, I don't know if this is a Germany thing or like a Berlin thing, but I think it's even in the like, what's the like common gazettes called?
Grundgesetz?
Grundgesetz, I think
Yeah.
it's in there, where like if you're having a party, for example, in your flat, in your apartment, you have to post in the lobby that you're having a party beforehand. That's like that's a law or like a rule.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Well, I noticed
I'm
it.
pretty sure I can like find the little like paragraph and send it to you or something. And
Oh, I
that's
know
another
a
thing
rule.
too. Yeah, go.
I know a rule. I think you're not allowed to mow the lawn in some cities between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m.
Mhm.
And you're not allowed to mow the lawn on Sundays. And I think you're not allowed to renovate your apartment on Sundays, like drill
Mhm.
holes into your
That's
wall and
right.
stuff like that. I think that's
You're
pretty
not allowed
German.
to vacuum on Sundays.
Yeah, I do it anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, me too.
You're also not allowed to move on Sundays.
Really? Oh, I thought
Yeah,
you
I
meant
think
move
so.
apartments, and I was like, oh, yeah, you're not allowed to breathe on Sundays.
Oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess you know that we have like Altglas container, the containers where you put old glass,
Mhm.
so that they're going to be recycled. And I think you have to really stick to the time. You can throw them in between 9 and 6 p.m., but only on weekdays and not on Saturdays or Sundays.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wait, what? Why?
because it's loud, it makes noise, so
Oh, okay.
they're
I see.
usually like next to neighborhoods. And I think once because we have a container here for glass, and I put glass in there at 7 p.m., so an hour after you're not supposed to do that anymore. And they were like, thank you very much.
Yeah,
was
the
like,
perks
"Okay,
of living
sorry."
on Wasserstraße, where it's like noisy 24/7.
Yeah. Okay. Alicia, I know that you have to leave us now. So Yeah, so
Merci
sad.
beaucoup. I learned a lot, especially on about you guys, the German people. It's crazy. I didn't know all these things. It's good. I have to travel soon to Germany. But which part then? Where do I have to go to have a good time with cool
Everywhere. Come
Hello.
visit Berlin. You can party here, the party capital.
The
I know
Cologne
Berlin,
people are the
actually.
coolest and the funniest. So Cologne is also a good area.
people? Okay, so let's see. I don't know Cologne. Okay.
And then a
I
pretzel
traveled to Munich
in
and
Bavaria.
I'll show you around here.
Berlin. Nice one.
Bavaria is great in terms of nature, and when you go for a hike, there are like a lot of great lakes and forests here. That's amazing here in southern
Yeah.
Germany.
Nice.
All right. Well, Alicia, have a great afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Merci beaucoup, and thanks to you, and thank you guys for following us. And I will see you very, very soon.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, so now it's the three of us. So maybe we can just answer some more comments. I think we haven't really been addressing some comments, or we haven't addressed.
Are
all
we
the
still talking about Germany then?
Yeah, because I guess we talked about. Well, we can talk about all three still. Oh, it's here. Mary says Germans are well organized, and I feel it in myself when I'm working on my German. I guess we kind of already answered that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something I also noticed in comparing my experience learning French versus learning German. Even just in looking on YouTube, was that there were more, at least when I was learning German, I think Lingoni French didn't exist yet. And so there weren't a lot of really good, like, structured videos on YouTube that taught French the way that your videos teach German. And so I was kind of looking for that, and that's kind of funny. I mean, that's really what brought me to Lingoni, actually.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. Oh, also, what are your thoughts on the Berliner Schnauze? Have you heard of this?
It
Well,
reminds me of the Bavarians.
I only
Reminds you of
visited
Bavaria?
Of Bavarians, because that's what you always say, Jacqueline, that Bavarians are like that too, harsh and direct.
Yeah, but I've only visited Berlin once, or no, twice. So I'm not really familiar with the Berlin culture that much. So I can't say a lot about the Berliner Schnauze.
Also,
Yeah.
do you want to explain what Berliner Schnauze is?
Yeah.
Well, I thought, well, maybe you can explain it better, Brian.
Well, I guess I don't know because when I hear Schnauze, I hear like, to me, I just the word itself, I don't know what that word means. To me, it sounds like a dog, a kind of dog, or like a long nose.
Yeah, well, Schnauze is the nose part of an animal. I think that doesn't only refer to dogs, right, Jenny? The Schnauze?
Schnauze can refer to a lot. Well, what about cats? Don't they also have a Schnauze? Schnauze.
No.
No?
Well, anyway, it's either the front part of a dog
snout.
or maybe
Yeah, the snout.
What?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's why I'm thinking of it.
Yeah.
Because in English, dogs
Oh.
have a snout, and that's
Yeah.
okay,
that's
then
it. There we
okay,
go.
then
One of
maybe
the
it
old
only refers to
connections of
dogs.
German and English.
Well, and then of
Um,
course Germans use Schnauze. It's like a bad word for the mouth, you know. There's also
Yeah.
like if you like shut up, you would say halt die Schnauze.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it like vulgar then?
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh,
vulgar?
okay.
No, it's not vulgar, but it's
But it's not nice.
No, it's not nice. Yeah, but it's not vulgar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's like as if you were saying shut up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think together with Berliner, so Berliner Schnauze, that's not as bad as you would say halt die Schnauze, right?
Probably not, no. So yeah.
Yeah.
But are there even like real people from Berlin still living in Berlin? Because there are so many foreigners coming to live there. And
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about this last night. I'm like, there are so many foreigners that live here, but I mean, there are a lot of Germans that live here too. And I think, and you think of the kind of roles that different people play. Like, I think if a foreigner moves to Germany, they're probably not going to get a job working in like state bureaucracy, for example. You know, like you're really going to have like old, like, you know, people who are born and raised in Germany doing those kinds of jobs.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we still are in Germany, and also you can look at, there are foreigners moving to Berlin like me, but there are also people living in rural Germany moving to Berlin as well. So I
Mhm.
think you still kind of have a mix.
Yeah.
Of course, it's probably younger people who are more open-minded who are moving to Berlin would be my
Yeah.
guess.
Definitely.
But I definitely experienced that with like, I think in my first year of living in Berlin, it was pretty challenging because I think people were very pointed with me, and I did experience this sort of attitude of like, people being a bit aggressive in the way that they communicated, and and this would be in public spaces. So sorry, I just hit my microphone. Um, and it really bothered me a lot. Like I hated getting yelled at in the street, and I feel like I got yelled in the street like every day for just some stupid little
Oh,
thing that
no.
just wasn't important, or like being in a store and then also just trying to like look for things in a store, and I'm like, I don't know where to find this product. I don't know what it looks like either. So it's not like, because that's another thing, is just knowing what the packaging of a product looks like. It really helps you a lot, and you don't realize that. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know the name. My phone's not working, so I can't translate. And I don't know what the packaging looks like. So I'm kind of screwed. Either I need to ask somebody or not buy it today or something. But then, sometimes I would like be like, excuse me. And then they like, I remember one time this person, like, they were like stocking shelves in the supermarket, and they didn't turn around. And I like waited a moment, and then I said again, excuse me. And they said, I heard you the first time. And I was like, okay, well, you could at least acknowledge me, please.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
just like, that compared to, and I used to work in a supermarket in the US, and Trader Joe's is like famous for its customer service. So, we would, if someone looked confused, sometimes I would go up to them and say, can I help you find anything? And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of service here. I think
Mhm.
in the supermarket, you should never ask someone who works there a question. I don't think they
What?
want you.
I do that all the time. They're always annoyed, but I don't care.
Yeah, but they don't want you to ask questions.
Yeah. You need to have that thick skin to be able to like take their,
Yeah.
and now I'm pretty good at it too. And sometimes they're nice even, and that's always like, it's maybe even better than if everybody was nice. It's like
Yeah.
extra special. It just like makes my heart warm,
Yeah.
Um,
One thing I really love about America is the way waiters or waitresses are. I always love that they come to your table. Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm your waitress for today, for tonight. What do you want to
mm,
drink? And in Germany, you like it's almost special if you have like someone who's really nice to you.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
it's not you can't take it for granted here in Germany.
Yeah. And I don't
mm.
know about the US, but we went to a restaurant in in the Netherlands actually, and they brought us the wrong food. Actually, Jacqueline, you ordered a casserole, vegan casserole, but they brought you a casserole with cheese.
Moussaka.
Moussaka, yeah, and it had cheese, so definitely not vegan. And then you complained about it, and you asked for a discount, and they were really rude to you, right?
Yeah, they were so rude. After that, I pasted a really yeah a Google
Review.
Bewertung, yeah, Google review, and yeah, it wasn't nice.
Yeah.
They
So
looked
that
at
was in
me.
the Netherlands, not in Germany. But what about in the US? If they brought you the wrong food, what would happen?
Where?
In the US, if they brought you
Oh,
like the wrong food.
sorry, I was distracted by a comment of Captain C saying Schnauzer is a mustache dog, right? Haha. That's I was like thinking like a mustache dog. I think a Schnauzer, I don't know. Oh, maybe it
But
is
Schnauzer.
one of
do
those
you call them
ones. I'd have to look up a
mustache
picture. I
dog?
forget.
Is that the right word for it? Mustache dog?
I think they're talking about the dog that kind of has, yeah, that sort of like goatee.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But I think, yeah, so sorry to answer your question. um, yeah, I think in the US, yeah, if you get the wrong order, then the restaurant will just say like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we'll get this right out to you as soon
Yeah.
as we can." They'll prioritize it, you'll probably get it soon. And they might say like, if you want to even eat this food, that's the wrong order. If you want to take it for free to go or something, they'll like let you keep it.
That's
Wow.
amazing. I mean, they didn't even apologize to you, right?
I know it's common that they don't even apologize if they made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really horrible, and I think it's getting worse. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, all right, guys. So maybe we should come to an end. It was really nice chatting to you and talking to you about all those cliches.
Yeah,
And
this
yeah,
was a great topic, actually. I'm glad. I think it went really well. Yeah.
yeah, we had almost
Yeah.
all the Lingoni CCs in here. That was so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
True.
Cool. Well, thanks for having us. And yeah, see you in the next live stream.
Yeah.
Yay. And
So
thanks
enjoy
to
the
all of
sun.
you for watching.
Yeah.
Enjoy the sun. Is the weather good in Berlin right now?
It's lovely. It's
Okay.
like 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius.
Maybe
It's
25?
beautiful. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna go for a little walk in the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Thanks.
All right,
You
guys.
too.
I will talk to you guys soon.
All right,
Cheers.
bye.